they are available. I wanted to say a few things about things that I look for when picking a book for discussion. In the beginning, we had no money, so I had to make sure we had as many copies as possible in our system. And I'm going to be honest, I borrow books from all of you guys. The number of pages, 350 is my max. We meet once a month, but still, 350 is my max. Variety. I did have someone tell me once that, oh no, not another rural family story, so I have to be aware. I realize that clean sex is okay. It's actually a lot more okay than violence and graphic unpleasantness. By that I mean bloody, gory things dying. Personally, I like a book with a strong sense of place or time, historical fiction. I like being able to present some background. Appealing and engaging characters, stories in which there's conflict. There has to be a dilemma to be faced. Somebody has to be on the horns of a dilemma, a decision. Families, children becoming adults, no matter how old they might be. The other thing I really wanted to touch on briefly is participating in a book discussion to me is very self-revealing. And it may be that people don't participate a lot at the beginning. I have the pleasure of having people who've been in the discussion at Rust since the beginning, and it's so very, very nice. I think they all feel comfortable to speak out. And the reason I think a discussion is very revealing, we really show what issues are important to us, the ones that touch us, the ones that make us react. And I want to tell you, I assume all of you use Novelist. There is a lovely article there titled Reading Group Therapy by David Carr. It is part of their featured articles, and he touches on exactly that issue of book discussion, being moved by the book, what the book may touch in you. And just to quote him a bit, we attend a reading group as a full participant only when we are able to come out of our privacies and into the public. When we read and interpret, we are often discovering and expressing lives we have not lived and experiences we have not experienced, except in the stories of others. And he asks a few questions. What part of my experience is touched or disturbed by this book? What questions do I feel the need to answer as a result of reading this? And what is the experience here that I need most to discuss? So it's a 5-page article. If you're going to do discussions, I hope you'll take a look at it. Well, thank you.
And questions for Holly about maybe a senior group or books to look for? Susan?
I don't have a question. It's just a comment, I guess, or something I can mention. I also work with seniors because I work for Access Services. Unfortunately, the books they read are usually large print. I work for Fairfax County, which is a very large library. They said to me one time, can you get us a John Steinbeck, a Hemingway? There must be 3 copies in large print of any title by that author. The only title they had by, I think, Hemingway was something that got the worst review ever, the worst book he ever wrote. So I sent them copies, and of course, you know, they didn't like it. So in a way, I am really up a creek. I mean, I would think there's no suggestions anyone could give me, but they usually have to get the bestsellers. I mean, Peterson. It's only the popular materials that give you in large print, multiple copies.
Yes.
Or books on CD. But a lot of my groups, they need multiple copies of large print books, and I'm really stuck in a way, in a rut. And
We've had that conversation, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone has any suggestions. I mean, if a person reads large print, that's it. And unfortunately...
Well, the borrowing from each other might
Well,
work.
the problem is they need the books for, you know, they're not the fastest readers. They read once a month, but we have to check them out for a longer period of time, sometimes for 6 weeks rather than the 3-week time limit. So I get concerned that they'll be overdue, and then, of course, they are overdue, and You know, that's why I would consider borrowing
Well,
from
yeah,
another
if we did
county.
if we
Maybe-
did some kind of arrangements.
Right,
where-
maybe we could do something like that, because we have a lot of groups, and they all need large print copies. There's very few groups that need maybe one or two, and some of them listen to CDs, but the large
Sounds
printer.
like a grant proposal, maybe.
Yeah, really?
Regional large.
Well, the
print
problem is
discussion.
too, a lot of the older titles, they're not gonna be like Hemingway, or they wanna read something classic, or something that was popular in the 40s or 50s. They're not gonna have them in large print, and they were never made in large print, so that's the problem.
Well, I think at some points in our book discussion group at Rust, we've used book dealers through the web.
Oh, that's not a good
The
idea.
Amazon, because, yes, you can look up a book and it might be, $1 off list, but oftentimes you'll look up a book and it's a penny.
Right.
And you're still paying for shipping, but, and you can always email people and say, hey, do you have 5 copies of that? And then they'll only charge you for 1 shipping.
Yeah.
But, there's always, with each individual
Budget.
item. With
Budget, too.
Well, yeah, and
It's a-
money is
yeah.
money, but
Yeah.
with each individual item, you don't know what the availability is going to be, but it's worth a shot
Yeah,
sometimes to
that's,
look.
that's
Sorry,
true.
may I add something?
Please.
Okay, the book discussion leaders with the Loudoun County Public Library uses this book discussion kits that each
Oh, the kits.
branch,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, we have those too.
What we have done for
Yeah.
outreach is we have the friends group. If my book discussion leader chooses a title and we do not own several copies of large print,
Mhm.
they fund the large to purchase a large print copy and it's added to the book discussion kits.
That's
So
not a
the
bad idea
friends
to
of,
maybe
you
get a
know.
friends group, yeah,
Yep.
to do that. Katie's taking notes.
Were there other questions or comments? Okay, then